As a performer, your body is there.
Hi, I'm Mad Kate, and you're listening to S.W.E.A.T. Sexuality, work, extraction, art, theatrics. S.W.E.A.T is a series of conversations about performance and performativity of the sexual and sexualized body at work, where work is broadly defined as the labor of survival, the labor of care, creativity, and capital A, art. How exactly do we define our work? And how does that work entangle and circumscribe our sexual identities, our creative lives, and the ways in which we provide care? How do we perform tasks, acts of care, and identities? Anchored in our always already racialized and sexualized bodies, our complex intersectionalities, these conversations are a means of relating through work to each other. I hope they contribute to dialogues which normalize sex work, and all work as deserving of respect, healthy conditions, and a living wage.
Give me your hand and let's do this shit together. I don't have to agree with you on everything. I don't expect you to agree with, because that's so egocentric also to feel like somebody should agree with you in everything. Why? You don't have to agree with me in everything, but you can share my struggles and we can find solutions together.
This month's conversation is with erotic performer and activist Chiqui Love. Chiqui Love is a burlesque and striptease artist and storyteller with over 22 years of experience. A power femme and co-founding member of two strippers collectives, East London Strippers Collective and Berlin Strippers Collective, she works to de-stigmatize sex work and open a dialogue around more ethical ways of providing and consuming erotic entertainment. Her approach centers on empowering workers and welcoming every gender and body shape. She is a passionate advocate for fair working conditions and for putting women at the forefront of any conversation involving bodily autonomy, pleasure, and freedom.
Hi, so I'm Chiqui Love, and I've been a performer and erotic entertainer for the last 24 years now. So I do burlesque, I teach burlesque, but I started as a stripper back in East London many years ago. And I also do cabaret, and now sometimes I do stand-up comedy, but that all came from stripping. And then little by little I moved into burlesque and, kind of like nightlife, dancer, that kind of stuff. Cool. And now I'm still here.
When I first saw you, I think it was 800A in vetting, and you were doing stripper stories.
Yes.
And I was really inspired by it and moved because not only were you a great performer, but I just loved how I finally got to see an event where strippers actually spoke.
Yes.
It's like you hear the voice of a dancer.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
So this show was originally created, I co-founded two strippers collectives. So the first one was in London back in 2013. Because we love, the group of us, the main reason why I chose stripping was for the money financially. But as the time went by, I just really enjoyed the pole dancing aspect of it. I really love the friendships that I made. I love the financial freedom that it gave me, because that's the main thing. When you have money, you have freedom to make choices that make you happier. You can live in a nicer place, you can travel, But the one thing that kept, even though I work in, not hundreds, but maybe hundreds of venues, was that the working conditions were never okay, and because when you add the stigma of the sex industry, if you complain about anything, it's, you work in the industry, what do you expect? Mm-hmm. That's usually the kind of backlash they give you. People don't give you grace when you're a sex worker usually, because they think, you chose that, so what do you expect, Yeah. So we were like, no, we think that it can be better. So with erotism, for example, it's always told from the male perspective and a very heterosexual perspective. Like most of the strip clubs are very male catered. A lot of the porn is very male catered. So it's all about their fantasies and their needs, because they have the money at the end of the day too. But I thought, I was doing burlesque at the time, and I realized that the majority of the crowd were women and queers coming to these burlesque shows, because there was this huge interest in erotic performance or sexy or naughty performances, but they weren't comfortable in venues that were heavily catered for men. So me and the girls that co-founded the collective were like, why don't we start doing our own shows and see what happens? And they were a huge success. And one of the first shows that we did was Stacey Claire, who's one of the co-founders. She started these erotic life drawing sessions where all the models were strippers. And then we came with the concept of stripper stories, because we were like, actually, one of the best things about being a stripper is the changing room conversations.
Completely. Yeah.
Like the conversations we had backstage were always like the funniest moments, because somebody got the tampon stuck and you're like, oh, I don't see your tampon. Or someone was putting glitter on their bum hole or something like that. Or someone was just talking about how a man paid her like, I don't know, 50 pounds just to touch her belly button for like 5 minutes. So it was really cheeky and funny and very human, And we were like, I think people will be interested in hearing these stories. So we did the first run through in London, the stripper stories. And then when I moved to Berlin, I encountered the same situation. Very intelligent people that I was working with, really fun conversations. And but again, because working conditions weren't amazing. So we started to do it with a collective here in Berlin. And 808 was super interested in hosting us. And from the moment we started Stripper Stories, it was a real success.
And what do you tell the performers? What guidelines do you give them as far as what they could say on stage or what?
Unfortunately, I'm not a part of this show anymore because I'm not part of the Berlin Strippers Collective anymore. But when I was hosting it, I just told them to be themselves because it's okay to be vulnerable too. Like some people we have, I think, to be a sex worker, you need to have a sense of humor. It's going to make your life way easier. And it actually is going to make you to make money too, because people want to have fun, right? Yeah. So I always told her, have fun with whatever you're saying, but if you also need to be vulnerable and share moments where you felt not supported, because it's also a job that can be quite isolating, because you cannot tell your family sometimes, or you cannot tell certain people because you're scared of the stigma and the backlash. So I just told them to feel free to share whoever side they wanted to share. And if they had any questions, they can come to me and ask me if it was okay. But we had a range. We had a range of really funny, silly, and then we had a range of also very touching and moving stories of coming out or feeling ashamed or that kind of stuff.
What's your favorite stripper story, if you have a favorite? Or if you have one you want to tell?
I will need to go back to my archive of memories because it's so many. But I think the one general thing that I do like is also the de-stigmatization of the client. I feel like a lot of people always put like, they want to paint these clients as this really evil, but they're using you, and When I actually made great friends with some of my clients, I consider them my friends, it's a client relationship, but they're also very sweet and they've been there for me many times, more than guys that were not my clients, to be honest.
Was stripping also an entry into doing full-service sex work, or were you
but they
always
came way later.
Okay.
They came a lot after. They came actually in my late 30s.
Uh-huh.
Because it was this guy, and he looked like Bruce Willis. And he was this Norwegian dude, and he was very handsome. And I remember it was one of those nights where the guys were horrible. It was one of those like bachelor's parties night where guys are like really drunk and they're messy and they're not tipping. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be here. And this dude was like, you want to go somewhere else? I'm like, hell yeah. And we had a great time, so I was very lucky. I'm also very lucky that I kind of choose. Because I have enough money coming as a performer and a stripper. So I do the full service as a little extra here and there, if it feels right.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky that I can choose. I know for many people that's not the case, but I'm very happy that if I need the money, I go for it. I don't really, it's not my main source of income.
Yeah.
And that's an advice I have for everybody. Don't have one main source of income. Have many different sources of income.
I completely agree with
because
that.
when one falls off or one is a bit weak, you always have something. And also for your peace of mind, you need to be creative too. Mm-hmm. That I think this is one of the things I've been an erotic entertainer for so long, because I do a lot of fun, creative stuff too. And that keeps my mind sane.
Yeah. If you feel comfortable talking about it, I'm kind of curious around how open you are, how out you are as a sex worker, and what that means for you, and when you choose and how you choose that.
With a stripper, it was funny because my mom knew, like I told my mom quite young, and I actually came out to her in a lesbian bar called the Candy Bar in London back in the day. But like 2 years later.
Like came out as a sex worker, you mean? Or came out as a stripper?
As a stripper. Sex worker, because I think we all go under the same umbrella, no? And I'm from Venezuela. It means that we are still a very traditional Catholic, this kind of binary, or you're a whore or you're a virgin, still very much present in the culture. Even though the culture is super sexualized, they still judge women a lot, if they make certain choices. But anyway, so I didn't tell my mom for like 2 years, but I did. I used to get her like every Christmas amazing presents, like tickets for the Royal Opera House and freaking Dior makeup. And my mom was like, wow, the restaurant pays very well. And then, but then I was okay, I need to tell her because we have a really strong relationship, me and my mother. So I came out to her and to this lesbian bar, and I remember I got her a little bit drunk. We went to see the Nutcracker, the ballet at the Royal Opera House. Then I got her a bit drunk. We took a little tuk-tuk to the candy bar. I was about to do a show. And there was this butch lesbian called Kim Lucas. And I said, Kim, my mom doesn't know I'm a stripper. It's the first time she's going to see me perform. He's like, don't worry, Chiqui. I'm going to get her some pussy shots and a little champagne. And she's going to be fine, babe. Just go on stage. So I sit my mom down in these pussy shots and this wine. I'm like, okay, this is tipsy enough. I can go on stage now. So I started to do the pole and her face was like, what the fuck is going on?
Wow.
And then when I came on stage, she's like, I said, Mom, what do you think? She's like, I can't believe you can do all of that on the pole when you've always been so lazy. Typical Latina mom, And then she asked, she said, what are you doing with the money? So we invested in an apartment in the Canaries, so if everything goes to hell, I have a place to live.
That's great.
And about coming out to the rest, I didn't, because my family in Venezuela is still very traditional sort of thing. And they found out through Facebook, because I was being tagged on the erotic ball in London. So I was wearing like these latex stockings, and there were pictures of me at the erotica ball in London having a great time, not wearing much. And they were like, puta, she's a puta. And I was like, I'm a stripper, thank you very much. I'm not even a whore. What are you talking? Because before I was the hierarchy, right? You have this hierarchy where the strippers were like, oh my God, I will never do full service. I'm a dancer. What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. So I was on that troop back in the 2000s. I was a stripper, but I would never consider being a full service worker. That changed later.
I've never heard it put this way, hierarchy. But
the hierarchy.
Yeah, I mean, I know exactly what you mean. I never heard it put that way, but yes.
It is a hierarchy, and the strippers are like, oh my God, full service. And then the dominatrix are, oh my God, and it's like, come on, let's get this shit together because we're all under the same bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, they came, and that was actually very shocking for me. Like, I really suffer because, the amount of shame that came towards me. And when you're in your 20s, you don't have the personality yet to deal with so much bullshit,
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
Totally.
20 years later, I'm like, girl, I don't care. Do you pay my bills? No. Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
Completely. Yeah.
It's great, huh? Yeah. That liberation. And it's funny because now I went to a wedding last year. One of my cousins got married, one of the youngest generation, that's she's in her 30s. And the younger generation of my family now see me as the kind of cool black sheep, And they all came to me like, yeah, I went to a fetish party one time. And the other one is like, oh yeah, I had like three boyfriends in the Netherlands. And it's so cute because they trust me to tell me like the naughty side. Yeah. And I feel like I open a little door in that family tree that it's okay to live your life how you want, to live in your body how you want to live, So I'm like, it was hard, but now I'm very proud of my service to that family tree.
That's amazing. Absolutely.
Yes. We need to break a stigma.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah. What makes you feel most safe in coming out, or what can help make you feel safer?
I feel that the more honest you are with yourself, the more you're going to meet your people too. Mm-hmm. Right? So I feel like this coming out, even though it was very hard because my relationship with in this family, I wasn't even close with these family members, but you still want their acceptance, and it's a lot of people that you want, but then you realize that, why do I need their acceptance for? They don't even accept themselves. You're asking for acceptance from people that have their own traumas and their own shit that they haven't dealt with, But I think for me it was very beautiful that after I started to come out and be really who I am without shame, then the right people came.
For sure. And yet, nevertheless, somehow sex can still be a bit siloed.
Yes.
We still find in our communities, we're working for human rights, right? Like, yes. Let's say, and all our struggles are connected. Yeah. Yet I still feel that sometimes sex workers, their struggle can be siloed. There's sometimes a feeling that sex is something that's hedonistic, so we deal with it later or aside from, or maybe it's something that's dirty, or people don't have the same values about it. And I still feel that sometimes that can be hard to bring sex-positive communities together with more conservative communities, even when we're fighting for the same human rights. And I wonder about that.
I honestly blame religion. I feel religion did a great damage for sexuality. Like I think people still have very ingrained these teachings of anything to do with sex is like this sinful, dirty thing. And there is a guy, I don't know if you know this guy called Jared, Pinky Promise. So they're supposed to do a festival recently, and then the town found out that it was a sex positive event and they got canceled. And then they had and it was really horrible. And then you're like, hang on a minute, what's going on? I don't have the only thing I can think of is really religion, and it's a power game too, right? Like, I don't think politicians really particularly want us in power. I think they get gain. I think they gain control out of controlling people. I think controlling sexuality is kind of like an easy target to control and to keep us in fear and keep us like subjugated somehow. Yeah. The more subjugated we are, the more we're going to be willing to do whatever the hell they want us to do. So,
what about on a smaller level when it comes to just the communities in which we actually feel safe, or like really people were working together, but still there's divisions? What makes us feel safer there?
These are people that are supposed to protect you. And yes, I do feel I have been getting very sometimes negative energy from people that I thought was on my side, and that really hurts, because coming from a conservative person or some person, I'm kind of expecting it. I'm kind of like, yeah. But when it's somebody from your own community and someone that you feel should be by your side, it's really painful and it's really hurtful. And I really don't know how to go about that. I think what we need is to have more conversations and to actually hang out with each other. I think we are so focused on finding what makes us different. Like, oh, I'm this. Like, everybody's putting labels, no? Like, oh, I'm gay, I'm queer, I'm a sex worker. I'm like, babes, we're actually more similar than what you think we are. But people don't have conversations anymore. Everybody's looking for what makes us different rather than trying to find the common ground. But I think many people just want to be right. But I'm like, no, babes, no. It's okay not to be right all the time. And just to actually hold each other's hand and be like, dude, let's find a solution together.
Yeah.
But it's easier said than done, I think.
Yeah, I think because I don't know, I feel like there's not enough time.
Yeah. And sometimes ego, no? So there's a bit of ego, and it's a bit like, oh, no, but my experience is more valid than your experience, or, it's a lot of that going on.
For sure.
Which is like, babes, just give me your hand and let's do this shit together, I don't have to agree with you on everything. I don't expect you to agree with me, because that's so egocentric also to feel like somebody should agree with you in everything. Why? You don't have to agree with me in everything, but you can share my struggles and we can find solutions together.
What does it take to do that kind of care work, I guess I'd say?
A lot of patience, I think. Patience. And I also feel, that's why I feel nightlife and clubbing and going out is so important. Because I feel the dance floor is a healing space, and that's one of the few spaces where people from every background hang out, right? That's why I love working in nightlife. I've been working in nightlife for 25 years, because I feel like nightlife brings the true self of a lot of people. People that are so divided at daytime. You're working in an office, and then but then at nightlife, we're all kind of creatures of the night, right? Apart from that, I don't know which spaces we can bring together. What can we do? That's a constant, like, I try from my work. I always try to talk to as many people as possible. And also I'm very lucky that I have a background of Latino family and I travel a lot. So I have a kind of, I understand some of the conservatives too. Like,
it's important.
I feel like it's unnecessary to constantly look for all this difference, and just talk to people, hang out with different circles, like have all the conversations. Don't be doing the same thing all the time. Travel, do things. Inform yourself. And inform yourself is not Instagram and the feed. No, inform yourself is go out in the world, hang out.
Yeah.
See how other people live, see other realities.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I think I learn a lot from clients, because otherwise I wouldn't hang out with them.
Yes, same.
Not because they're bad people. I just probably they're living a really different life from me. That's what I mean,
And also, like, I remember one after Trump won, this term, I had to do a bachelor's party for this bunch of Israeli guys that were Trump supporters. And I had to do this lap dance, right, for these dudes. And they were actually really sweet and friendly. But they were obviously very happy for Trump, and they were really pro-Israel. And I was like, oh, I'm here doing a lap dance for these guys. Because it's one of those breakfasts. So you had to go and knock at the door in the morning and get them like, happy breakfast. And then I come and show my titties at them. So you don't really know who they are because it's an agency. But they were really sweet and they tipped really well. And they were like, wow, thank you so much. It was so nice. And I was like, for fuck's sake. But it's the duality you have to deal with. You have to be able to see that in people, the humanity in people, and also these dudes were from Israel, so fuck knows where they're fed on their media too, Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because that's the other thing, like we are manipulated all the time, and I think that they want us divided, divide and conquer. So in social media, you get a feed especially designed for you. So you have this echo chamber constantly, then everybody gets their own little bubble. And he said, you need to get out of that bubble. You need to hang out with other people. Every age, every nationality, every background, every political, even if you hate their political views, you need to fucking talk to them.
What do you learn most from clients?
What I learned the most is that sex seems to disguise the need of tenderness a lot. I feel like guys are more happy to say, I'm horny, than to say, give me a hug. And the majority of time, I feel like they need a hug more than anything else. And they need someone to listen to them and tell them, it's all right, honey. You're doing okay, sweetie. Or maybe those are the guys I get because I'm very honest about my age. So I'm now getting a sexy auntie, I guess. There's a lack of tenderness, I feel.
And you're able to give that to clients, or you feel
when they
that
allow
you do
themselves. I mean, one of the last dudes I have, he had an issue with intimacy because the two women he really loved end up dying, right? So he decided not to get close to a woman anymore because he had this freaky thing that he thought he wasn't healthy or whatever. And we went to a museum, then we hung out, and then half an hour I was like, dude, your time is coming up. You want to do anything? He's like, can you just hug me? And I was like, wow. And that booking for me was way more intense than just doing the regular stuff,
Yeah.
With me, it depends on which mental state. I think men really struggle with really accepting what they need. And they disguise it as just sex, and it's and sometimes it's way more than sex what they need.
What has aging taught you?
Oh my God! Well, also for me, the pandemic, I lost my dad, and I lost a couple of sweet people, and I read this beautiful quote that was like, "Be the things you love the most about those no longer here." And my dad was a really fun man, and then I was like, these other people that also died, they were just really soft. What I remember about them is how generous and soft and loving they were, and I was like, yeah, that's the energy I want to give. And also I had some hardship with some friendships during the pandemic too that really was no, I think what the world needs really is a bit more love and softness. There's a lot of the hard stuff out there, And also what I want in my life too, because when you're younger, you're like, oh, I can do it all. I don't give a fuck. And now I'm like, no, I do give a fuck. And I'm not going to accept anyone not treating me well. And I'm going to treat people the way I want to be treated. And if the energy is not reciprocated, then I just simply don't engage with it. And with my work, I apply the same with guys.
So when you started organizing in 2013, right?
Yeah.
And what were the kinds of community struggles you were especially, or conditions you were especially working for?
At the club that we work, for example, we are treated as self-employed, but we are told when to get there, at what time we can arrive, and we cannot arrive. We cannot set our own prices, all the prices for the lap dances, drinks, commission. That's all set by the club. You have to have a minimum amount of. So you're a freelancer, but they give you so many conditions, but you get none of the benefits of a worker. We get no health insurance, no social insurance, no sick payment. If I fall from the pole, and sometimes in the case of Berlin, in particular, was the constant making us feel like we were replaceable. So we had all these text messages all the time. If you don't like working here, you can go somewhere else. Wow. If you don't do that, you know what I mean? Yeah. So they're constantly reminding you that if they can replace you in a minute, if they want to. And they can, because it's an industry that attracts all sorts of people into work, that they need the money for whatever reason. And in the case of stripping, which is I have much experience with, you have all these dancers that will come from poorer countries, or they don't have so they're willing to put up with whatever conditions because they have to send money home because they're single moms, and they know that, so they play with that vulnerability a lot. And they know that we cannot really organize with a lot of the dancers because some dancers just don't want to make any noise.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I'm just happy to make whatever money under whatever condition because I have kids to feed, or I have to build my house, or I have to send money home. You know what I mean? So they take advantage of that. And in the case of London, I remember the owner at some point, she decided that if any girl wanted to take a holiday during the summer, we had to pay a fine of £60. So we had to pay for work. People was, oh my God, you must make so much money. No, I've gone home with nothing more than once,
No, because you were kind of renting the...
Yeah, because you pay,
hole?
you cannot, in London, you pay, when in the UK, you pay a house fee. So you pay the house fee as soon as you arrive. So if you're in a big club, you can pay up to £150 per night. A small club, maybe £50. But you have that debt before you come into the door. And then after you make your money. And here in Germany, it's about commission. So if you sell a bottle, let's say 175 euros, then you make 50 and the club makes the rest, 125. So they make commission from everything. All your private dance, they take 50% for your private dances. Some of them want to take 50% of your tips. If somebody gives you a cash tip after your show, you're supposed to declare them and give them half of it, which I never did, by the way. Fuck them. And so they make so much money. So I end up paying in commissions 300, 400 euros to the club, Jesus. Which say they make a lot of money. And I'm like, I wouldn't mind paying this money, but treat me well. But the way they talk to the dancers is very demeaning. The way they make you feel so like you're a piece of shit, basically. You're a cash machine for them. That's it.
And is that still happening? I mean, are those conditions still more or less the same? Like, what is the situation now?
I mean, I think this club where I was working, the guy that was like that with us, he's mostly somewhere else. So he's not really running the place. He's the owner, but he's not really running the place so much, which is good. And the other one I was working, I think there is a lot of dark energies. But the one I'm working now is actually the best one I've seen run, but it's not a strip club, it's a brothel, and it's a really big brothel, and I'm there just as a dancer, so I don't really engage with the guys so much. And now I'm just working with an agency, and this agency I work with, they basically send me somewhere, and it's okay. I couldn't do the clubs anymore, no in Berlin. Mm-hmm. I work in the south of Germany, the conditions were a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But in Berlin, there is a lot of drug taking, there's a lot of drinking, it's a lot of dancers on the floor, so you really have to compete with 50, 60 dancers there. And sometimes maybe 10 guys. So they play with that energy because, oh, well, I don't like you, she's better than you, she's a better dancer than you, she's prettier than you, she's taller than you. So you have to have a very strong personality to deal with that,
Yeah.
Every so often you meet some really lovely guys. Like I found my niche. My niche are the older men. Older men love me. Or the really young ones, they want a sexy auntie. So when I kind of know which ones I'm going to do well with, and I stick to those. But yeah, it's very competitive.
How would you directly deal with a boss that's like talking down to you?
You can't deal with that because they just sack you. You lose your job. That's it. Yeah. They love the power too. I feel like a lot of the men that run these venues, they were kind of like bullied probably when they were young, and now they're running a place where all these beautiful women work and they get this power, and probably these women used to reject them back when they were young, and now they're like, now it's my turn to reject you. It's revenge time. Yeah, so you can't, it's very hard because they just basically get rid of you because you have no rights, you have no contract, you have no job contract, you have no employee, you have no security, you have nothing. So one day they can just say, like, don't come back to work. That's it.
So what is the space that you do have to move or to collectivize or to...
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the reasons why we started the collective, because we started to do our own events.
Okay.
So we started to do... But obviously, our own events are not enough to make a living. Like, you can go to a strip club Monday to Sunday.
So instead of actually being able to change the clubs themselves, you kind of had to create your own...
We created our own. Yeah, we can because we try. In fact, I did some erotic life drawing at the club. I used to work in Berlin. And I remember my first meeting, he kind of laughed at us. He was like, who's going to come here and draw you? Oh my God, what a stupid idea.
Oh my God, what an ass.
And it was packed. We had like 45 people on our first night. And it was because the idea was that we do it in the strip club. So we used to poll and everything. And then on the second one, he wanted 50% of the earnings. So after he saw the first date, then he was like, oh, if you want to keep doing your drawing sessions here, you have to give me 50%. I was like, what the fuck, dude? And like in London, they have a fixed venue where they have it every Monday. And it's still popular. It's been going on in London for 15 years now.
Cool.
Every Monday.
And it's a strip club.
It's a place that used to be a strip club in East London. So it's called Filthy Funnies, which is very funny. So they honor and they're super happy to have them there and they're very supportive. That's the thing, to find venues. And well, talking about the struggles, I think even nowadays when you talk about, let's say I want to go to a venue, say I want to do a sex positive event where dancers can come and ask for tips if they want to. Many venues would probably say no because they have this very Puritan, even though Berlin is a very sex and open-minded city, but not so much sometimes.
Right.
You know? I feel like if it's just one of these like hedonistic Kit Kat, oh my God, I'm so sex positive. Like that's okay. But the moment the actual sex workers are like, oh, can I do some lap dances and make some money? Oh no, that's not allowed at all. You cannot be sex positive like that. You want money too? Or
Well, it's the money, right?
yeah, they don't like it. They get really like weird when we want to like charge.
So you're saying that you are doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Tell me about
I
it.
mean, with the stripper stories, I kind of started. Oh, yeah, because you were talking about my favorite stripper stories. So to go back to that, I remember once I had to do this lap dance because sometimes guys are really nervous. And that's the other thing, like when people say, oh, the men that go to those places are horrible. They're just degrading women. I'm like, not this one that I'm about to tell you. He was so shy. The poor guy. He was like so nervous. He's never been to a place before. It was his bachelor's party. And he was like, oh, hi, my friends say that they got me a private dance with you. I'm like, it's okay, baby, we're going to have a private dance. Don't you? But he was so sweet and shy, you know, and he was like, it's okay, just sit down there. But the way it worked in London was that you had to dance to whatever song the girl on the stage is doing her main show too. That's the music that goes into the private booth. Like you cannot choose your own music. I used to work with a bunch of Brazilians, and I feel the problem with Brazilians was that they think that any slow song was a sexy song. Because they didn't speak much English, right? And they didn't care. They were like, well, it's slow. I'm going to dance to this. So there I was, ready to dance to this. And I was, oh, hi. So where are you from? So, I'm from Jersey. I said, oh, beautiful. You have very nice cows in there, right? Like really nice milk in Jersey. Yeah, we go. Nice, very fluffy cows in Jersey. Yeah. Trying to kill time before the song. And then the song comes up and it's the freaking Titanic song. You know? I was like, for fuck's sake. So I was putting my ass in this guy's face when he goes, near, far, wherever you are. Putting my tits in this really nervous Jersey guy. And then I was like, you need to have a sense of humor. And then the guy was laughing his head off. And I was like, you were so nervous. And look at what you have in fucking Titanic on your face. And he was like, no way. And we had such a laugh.
That's hilarious.
When she exploded, you're here. That's when I took my panties off and I opened my crotch. And the guy was like, you're here. There's nothing to fear. Fucking Titanic, man. I will never forget that, you know. And this guy was so nervous for that. So yeah, when I collected all these cute little stories with my mom, the gay bar, it's so many funny moments that I didn't even have to make anything up. I was just telling what happened. I was like, this is what happened, guys. And I also feel like with the comedy, it was a really good way to humanize our work. Mm-hmm. You know, because people have these preconceptions of like, what happened in those establishments is so seedy and degrading. And I'm like, no, babes, I'm showing my crush to the Titanic to a really nervous guy. Like, it's not as bad as you think. Like,
Totally.
It's very silly, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like, I feel more shame outside of those spaces than I ever do inside them, right? I mean, one time I was working a peep show and I got my period. Everyone could see I had no panties on and the blood just came right out of the fucking floor. Yes. And I don't know, I didn't care.
Lady in red. You should have that. Nobody here. Just you. You should dance to Lady in Red.
Exactly.
And nobody gives a shit.
No. You know, and like it could have been such a shaming moment, you know, but like
it happens.
it's more shameful to describe it to someone else who's like, oh my God, the horror, that would be horrible, than actually how I felt in the moment. It's like, I'm already here naked in this box.
Yeah. So funny. Like, and then I remember in London, like, when I started, the pole dancing came a bit later. Pole dancing was starting to become popular, but a lot of the venues were just a bar. Yeah. With some naked chicks. We didn't even have a DJ. We had a jukebox. We had to put a pound coin and then choose a song from the jukebox. Yeah. And I remember there was a pool table and there was some dudes playing pool because you had to go around taking your clothes off around this bar. And you would interrupt the pool table, like, hey guys, I'm about to show you my coochie. Is that all right? They're like, sure, jump in. So I would jump on the pool table, do a little like crutch show. And then they were like, oh, thank you. And they just kept playing pool like nothing happened. To fucking Britney Spears or something, you know. Yeah. Or to share if I could turn back time or something like this. Because it was like really old jukebox. So they had this really old selection of music, like Rod Stewart and stuff like that. And these guys were like, oh, no, thank you, love, you look great. Oh, you're welcome. The worst thing that could happen is someone steal your panties, you know, and it was annoying because it was part of a set. There was a matching panty and everything. Yeah. So that was like one of the most... Sometimes you have a drunk guy who was a bit annoying, but to be honest, I've been more vulnerable in a normal bar where I just been there in fully clothes, one having to have a drink and some random guy touched my ass without permission or something, you know. Mm-hmm. I feel like in those venues I always had security. More often, every so often you have shitty security, but more often than not the security's on your side and you can just go like, hi, that guy's been annoying. Mm-hmm. And they will throw him out or tell him off, which doesn't really happen in normal bars sometimes. Mm-hmm. So I just felt safer. Mm-hmm. I also felt that men felt a bit intimidated more often than not. You know, like, so you get the drunken one here and there, but more often than not, I think guys are terrified of this very powerful woman with her crotch out, not ashamed of anything, getting her money, getting his cash out. And they're like, yeah, sure. Yeah. You know, it's quite powerful.
Absolutely.
And they're terrified.
Maybe it's a bit of a left turn, but there is a contradiction that I guess I hold, which is on the one hand, I think I'm quite anti-capitalistic. Yes. I'm anti-consumption. Yes. And yet, I mean, fundamentally, sex work is a very capitalistic industry. Yeah. And I wonder about this kind of...
but I think it's also punk. Because we're choosing our own schedule, you know, we're kind of living the life. It's a double-sided thing. Yeah, it is capitalistic, but that's what society demanded from me from a very young age, right? I was sexualized without my permission from a very young age. I remember in Venezuela, guys were looking at me, and I always look very young. And you had already guys like leering at you, and I was maybe 13, 14. And then I was like, I have some normal jobs, but I just find it so boring. And I don't know if it's something to do. I think a lot of sex workers are actually a little bit neurospicy too. Like I cannot deal with authority that much. I cannot deal with somebody telling me what to do and what time I have to be there, what time I have to leave. When can I get my holidays? I'm like, no, I want to go to Spain now, bitch. Like, I'm going on holiday, bye. And there are not many jobs that can allow you to do that. So I think it's quite punk. In the sex industry is the only job where I can really choose my schedule however I want. Mm-hmm. If I want to go on holiday, if I don't want to go, if I want to go and travel somewhere, if I feel tired, not many jobs give you that. And also, thanks to the sex industry, I work the least amount of hours for the most amount of money. Because I want to do fuck all, babes. Like, I'm now in my mid-40s officially, and I want to do nothing, right? So that money I get in those few hours allows me to do my creative tasks. So I can do the gigs that don't pay so well, but are fun. And I get to hang out with my friend. I get to get some art. I get to rest. Yeah. And I think that's actually quite political and punk to do whatever the fuck you want.
That's true. That is true. That is true. I agree. I mean, I think the things I love to do the most are the least well paid. Yeah. I mean, often, you know? Yeah.
And then we get to perform in like cute spaces that perhaps can afford to pay you a great fee because whatever. Mm-hmm. But thanks to the daddies, I can show my coochie to the gays.
That is a great quote. Thanks to the daddies, I can show my coochies to the gays. Need that on a shirt.
Usually the queer parties don't pay so much. You know, by the time you add together all the preparation time, all the materials, your outfit, you get nothing, but you get the fun,
Yeah. How does it feel when you moved from Venezuela to London, and how you were read as Venezuelan as a stripper? What are your experiences being a racialized body?
My family is from the Canaries, so I was in the Canaries for a bit. And I think the thing with the majority of white people, right, or at least back in the day, they don't difference between Venezuela or Spain or anything like that. For them, it's the same shit. And many times I didn't even clarify it. I was like, Mexico, sure. Venezuela, yeah, sounds good to me. Colombia, yeah, fine. I don't care. So I'm the Latina, they're gonna fetishize you, right? That's it. You're Latina. They don't care. They think Spain and Mexico is the same thing. Many of them. Yeah. I remember one time this guy was like, "Oh, do you speak Venezuelan?" I was like, "Yeah, I do actually." So that was pretty cool to dance for white men because they don't know shit. And at the end of the day, you're just another Latina. It could be Brazil. It could be anything. And as long as they fetishize you and pay you for it, I was cool with that. I'm going to get the positive discrimination money. I don't give a fuck. I'm not here to teach you about geography, baby. I'm here to show you my tits. Thank you very much. That's why I say you need a sense of humor. And many times I thought, these men have powerful jobs. Yeah. The man that asked me if I speak Venezuelan, he probably had a really good paid job in the city in London.
That's so fucked.
He was a well-dressed man, and he's probably getting a really good salary asking people if they speak Venezuelan. So how I navigated being a Latina in the sex industry just by accepting the fetishization and getting the money for it. I really don't care what they think. I never had an issue when people was I remember one time they were people say, are you not ashamed to be a stripper? Oh my God. I'm like, yeah, I can tell you the ways I'm ashamed in a private dance if you want.
Good for you.
Get the money.
Good for you. How much time do you have?
Let me tell you how ashamed I am after I take your money. You cannot take this serious, babies.
What kind of things do you answer? I had one time somebody ask me, but okay, you're okay with being a sex worker, but how would you feel if your daughter became a sex worker? And they were really trying to,
I have a little sister, and sometimes I wonder. And I think for me, the main issue would be don't fucking charge less, babes. Make sure you charge the right amount. And also safety. I feel I wish we had more safety. And that's why I think decriminalization is important, because let's say my little sister comes to me and said, I'll be like, yeah, it's a bold choice. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not an, because people also paint it now. You have this glamorization of the industry that, I make so much money. All that. No, it's a lot of hardship in the sex industry. And it's a lot of unsafe moments too, mostly because of the laws.
Yeah.
And mostly because of the stigma. So if, let's say, my little sister or somebody I care for decided, I'll be like, make sure that you can always text me where you are. You can always call me if something is weird. Don't be ashamed. Don't feel alone. Don't feel isolated. Just let me know where you are, Mm. So I wouldn't tell them no, but I would tell them it's hard. It's not an easy job. It's going to be moments where you're going to feel really shit. But don't be embarrassed to tell me anything or to ask for any sort of help.
Yeah, yeah.
So my main fear will be because of the laws. And because of the stigma. But because of the job itself, it's fucking men, babe. It's not hard. It's how long do they last, really?
But now in Germany, they're trying to do this Nordic model, which is to criminalize the Johns, right, the clients.
It's, I think, absolutely dangerous because guys will feel scared to give their ID. So that push the industry to lower and more dangerous places, because if you cannot verify this man, because I will ask for ID, or you know what I mean? I have some sort of a verification if they're a safe person. But if you cannot do that, then you're risking to take anyone. And when you're risking to take anyone, again, I'm very lucky that I can choose a little because I have the right paperwork and I have a lot of positive in my life that I can afford. But for many of my colleagues, they can't. It's not their situation. Maybe they're waiting for the paperwork, they're waiting for their visa, they have kids home, and they have to take maybe unsafe clients. Which they won't be able to denounce them to the police because it's the guys will go to jail or they will get some sort of criminal record, and the person working also, even though they say they don't criminalize the worker, they kind of do too. if you're an immigrant and you go to the police and you report that you're a sex worker, they're going to have that on record, you know?
Yeah.
That's going to come back to you at some point.
I mean, also if you haven't registered, right?
Yes, exactly.
So if you haven't registered and then you go and then...
And you cannot work with a friend. I think in the UK, if you work with a colleague, it's also illegal. So you're supposed to work by yourself, because before people were like getting together and being safe with each other, working together. But now you're not allowed to do that anymore.
Okay. Under what pretense?
I don't know. Apparently you're running a brothel or something if you're working together. It's weird, yeah. Wow. But again, it's all this control, you know? And the one thing that pissed me off, like, because in London, I remember when I was working, they were doing... When I started activism actually was 2010.
Okay.
Because in London, the strip venues were just like a entertainment. It was entertainment, but it was just like a live band or however. Because also in London, there was no physical contact at all. It was just stage shows, or the private dance was like a table dance. So it was no physical contact at all.
Even the private dance was...
Yeah, the private dance was like a little table dance. So it was like a little bit of distance between you and the client. Okay. It was not a proper lap dance. And then they changed it to sex encounter. And that means that the venues had to renew the license every year and pay a fortune. So it's all about money in the end, too.
Of course.
Everything is about money, because when they changed this legislation, suddenly every year they had to renew, and they had to make sure that it was safe, that there was no crime. And actually, we never pretty much had any problem. Like, we always had security there. But then you have also this new, like, rat feminists that came in, and they've been really damaging. I consider myself a feminist, but not that.
Tell me.
Yeah, all this very extreme feminist movement started to say they were really damaging and going like, yeah, the exploitation of women, and they are degrading, and there's violence, and they're selling their bodies, and da-da-da. And they're like, yeah, my body. It's like, hang on a minute. Isn't feminist about letting people choose whatever the fuck they want to do with their life? Like, I'm a grown-up, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, nobody's coercing me into anything, like...
Going back to the beginning, I was saying maybe you wanted to bring in a question that you've been like thinking about lately.
Actually, it's about aging, you know. Like, I'm very lucky that I get plenty of work already. Like, but I do feel tired sometimes. I'm like, the one thing is that I cannot work in a strip club anymore because I have no patience to deal with any of these managers anymore. Like, when you're younger, you're kind of, and you like the attention. I don't need the attention anymore. I don't care, you know. And I do notice that late nights and my body is feeling a little bit more tired, you know. Mm-hmm. And I just turned 45 2 weeks ago, and I had my first sign of perimenopause. Mm-hmm. And I was like, she is here. And it does make you question. I'm very lucky that I invested in a little something, but yeah, I just don't want to work as much. My body is telling me, like, girl, we need to slow down just a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I became sober. I started to feel different symptoms that I think are perimenopausal. I mean, at the time...
It's a little hint.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, now I'm doing more reading about it, but initially... just things were changing. I was like, that's weird. Oh, that's weird. But I wasn't putting it together, you know? Yeah. And now I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like weird dehydration, things being too salty. Of course, like, sleep stuff.
Yeah, the sleep. Yeah, I'm just tired.
Yeah. Alcohol's like quitting my body. Like, no.
The alcohol too, like the drink. Like, I was working in this nightclub the other day, and I just, after my show, I really wanted to party and stay and have a good time, but I just physically, my body was like, I don't think so, babe. We're going to bed now.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And it makes you think about your income, no? Like, how you gonna, because I do a lot of pole and performance, but I feel like I'm gonna have to make decisions that will keep me active in a way, with food and exercise. I've never been really an exercise person. I've been very lucky with my physique. But I feel like now I have to do extra things because I'm just so tired.
Yeah, I mean, what other things are offering you support as you get older? Like, what are the kinds of things also that our community can do to support each other as we get older in such precarious industries?
Yeah, because we need to work, right? That's the thing. We live in this capitalist that we need to pay for things, you know? And I'm like, what do we do? I mean, it would be cool that we were able to pay artists a better fee, but many venues just can't afford it. I think they have really good intentions, but I feel like as a performer, I've been getting paid a very similar fee for more than 10 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
You know, like they haven't really gone up, but my cost of living have really gone up, but I'm still getting the 150 euros here and there. Sometimes you get more than that if you're lucky. But that's more or less the fees that have been there for 2000s, I'll say. I remember I used to do a go-go dancing gig in London in 2004 for £150, which would be like 175 euros. So I was getting paid more in 2005. I mean, you get more than this 150 every now and then. But a lot of the queer venues, I think that's what they can afford. But I just don't know what can we do to make sure that the artists get paid properly, you know? I think there was a movement I read that was looking for nightlife entertainment, like some sort of like fair wages for nightlife
Exactly. This is actually who I was walking with on Saturday.
Yes, and that sounds like a great initiative.
Yeah.
So to push initiatives like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I love performing, but I'm just very tired after when I put together, again, the time I make my costume, the time I do my makeup, the time I go and buy all the bits that I need, my traveling time. If I divide all of those hours into how much I'm getting paid, it's less the minimum wage, you know? Because people think, it's a 5-minute show. It's not a 5-minute show.
No.
It's been so much time preparing those 5-minute shows, you know? Mm-hmm. Cutting your music, mixing your music, doing your makeup, buying all the bits. It's a lot. Yes. Then you 150. Yeah. So I think one thing we should do is perhaps push for better payment. And I don't know how can we achieve that. Who do we need to talk to?
I think at least to each other, right? Yes. So that we can really unite and just understand with each other how important it is. Because the city runs on us.
Yes.
I mean, a big part of the city does anyway. It runs on nightlife.
For sure. And I think Berlin, compared to London, at least I feel they respect nightlife a bit more here. They consider more of part of the bigger economy, and they consider part of culture, which is. And it's the only time where all people from many different backgrounds come together and dance together. And I think that's so fucking important. Mm. But we still are left behind, you know? Mm. Like we're getting the same fees. Like Kit Kat, I think. I don't know if I can name and shame here, but I did some gigs for Kit Kat. They were paying me 100 euros. And I ended up doing hair and makeup for 5 people. I did 2 shows. I was there and they paid me like 3 months later. 100 euros.
Oh my God, babe.
It was nothing. And then I was hosting the live drawing sessions there, and I agreed, like, okay, just give me a fixed fee of 100 for the live drawing. And then they wanted to charge me.
No. I worked for them back in 2004. It was one of my first jobs, and they were paying me 80 euros then. 80 euros.
Imagínate.
You know?
Yeah.
So like to pay 100 now, when the rents have gone like 10 times as much. Seriously.
Crazy. I mean, this is when I deal directly with the Kit Kat, because when I don't parties that are organized by other people at Kit Kat, then that has been a different story.
Sure. What's the most important work that you do now that you feel like for you is the most valuable? It can be anything, paid or unpaid.
At the moment, I'm really kind of focused on taking the shame away. You know, I feel like, especially now as I'm aging, I think women have been told for a very young age that aging was a bad thing. You know, it was, you're old now, you have to have the surgery, you have to do this anti-aging cream, you're gonna have no work. And I feel so beautiful and powerful. This is the most beautiful and powerful I felt in my whole life, because this wisdom that comes with aging. So I think for me to be on the stage just sharing, and when I do burlesque also, when I teach, is to get the other women, not necessarily women, but the people that come and do a workshop with me, to not be ashamed. Just live your life, babes. There is a lot of shame. Leave the shame for others. Don't deal with that. Live your truth, you know. So I try to do that through my work. And even in sex work with the clients, because sometimes you see them that they can also be very shy and ashamed because, oh my God, I'm doing it. And I'm like, babes, just enjoy it. Have fun. We don't know how long we're here for. You know, enjoy yourself.
Yeah. You just heard from erotic performer and activist Chiqui Love. You can find out more about her in the show notes. I'm Mad Kate, and you've been listening to S.W.E.A.T, Sexuality, Work, Extraction, Art, Theatrics. S.W.E.A.T is a series of conversations about performance and performativity of the sexual and sexualized body in work, The theme music was composed by me and features the voice of performer and actress Lori Baldwin. S.W.E.A.T airs every second Tuesday of the month at 13 hours Central European Time on Collaboradio. Free Radio's Berlin-Brandenburg, broadcasting on 88.4 FM in Berlin, 90.7 FM in Potsdam, and streaming online at fr-bb.org. Afterwards, it's available for streaming wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much, and until next time.